Good evening, everyone. I wanted to thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight to watch this little not rant, but this little explanation video, this exposition dump. Me talking at the camera for some arbitrary amount of time. So I'm gonna try to keep this, kind of short and sweet, as I possibly can. When I started this video, structure this properly. This video is going to be about why I stopped tracking my calories. Recently, it's very recent. Within the past, week or so, I had been tracking my calories for probably pretty consistently for almost 4 years now. Tracking my calories, tracking my macros, and a lot of you probably know what that is. Some of you might not, and that's okay. Tonight, I'm going to explain to you why I stopped tracking my calories, why I stopped tracking my macros. I'm going to try to keep the video relatively short, just to, you can get in, you can get out, you can get the good information, and you can go. You can get my take on this, because obviously in fitness and health and with a lot of things in life, not everyone can get to the same place by doing the same things and by having the same methods. People get to the same destination in different ways, or maybe a slightly different destination that you didn't necessarily know you would be at before that if that makes sense. You might end up somewhere you didn't know you were going to be by using a method you didn't. Long story short, everyone does things a little bit differently, and different things work for different people. So tonight, I want to explain to you my methodology behind why I stopped tracking my macros and stopped tracking my calories. So I'll start out in the beginning. I'm currently 18 years old. I have been working out and lifting and being conscious about my food consistently for about 11 years. I shouldn't say consistent about my food, though. That I've been lifting and working out in general for about 11 years. My mom used to take me to, my mom is very holistic. She's an angel. She taught me a lot she got me started in the beginning. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be at all where I am today. And so I started at a very young age. From the point of being 6 or 7 years old, I was learning the fundamentals of exercise. I was learning how to properly bench press. I was learning how to do a proper barbell back squat. I was learning how to shoulder press properly. I was learning how to, and this was in the early 2000s. So this was kind of still in the era of the stability ball type of training thing. This is the era of time. There are different eras of different fads that personal trainers used over the years. And this was sort of towards the tail end of the phase of stability ball training, where it was all about what exercise can we do with a stability ball. We can, so I was doing a lot of that. I was doing a lot of stability stuff. I was doing a lot of powerlifting movements. I was doing a lot of high intensity training, which, looking back on it now, it wasn't the most effective way to train a young child, or it wasn't really it depends on, of course, it depends on what the goals are. And, that's something that could be discussed in a whole different video. But more often than not, if you're a personal trainer, probably the worst thing you can do, unless your client is training specifically to be at a high intensity, like if you're training an athlete, then it's okay to train that athlete at a high intensity. If a client comes to you and they just want to lose weight or lose body fat or build some muscle, probably the worst thing you can do is train them at a super high intensity. Not only are they not going to come back, they're going to get burnt out, and they're going to maybe they'll lose some weight in the beginning, but odds are, and the statistics say this, they prove this, you're probably going to gain all of the weight back and more later on. And then you're going to have this negative connotation with working out in your head, so you're probably not going to want to go back again for the rest of your life. So that's why you shouldn't train people super intensely right off the bat, but that's not what I came here to talk about. The audience I'm intending to speak to tonight are those who are a little more versed in health and fitness and who are at the point where they are tracking their calories or macronutrients. I have done this religiously for the past 4 years. Oh, my computer turned off. I have done this religiously for the past 4 years. And I was learning how to do it for a long time. Let's see, how old was I? I was 14, when I started tracking. Wow. And I didn't start taking it really seriously or doing it the right way necessarily until I was about 16, when I prepped for my first bodybuilding show, and I had an amazing coach. His name was Austin Paulson. He taught me a lot of what I know now. He was great. He was fantastic. I don't agree with some of the things that, some of his methods now, but that's okay. A lot of coaches have different mentalities, and a lot of coaches think differently and do things differently, and that's okay. For example, he for his athletes and for himself, he likes to have a lot higher carb diets, a lot higher carb nutrition plans. So if you're following his macros and you're one of his clients, odds are he's going to have your carbohydrates a lot higher than your fats. And for me, I actually prefer to have my fats a lot higher than my carbohydrates. And this is just a personal preference thing. Fats are a very satiating macronutrient. They're going to keep you fuller for longer. And the carbohydrates are generally going to make you hungrier. They're going to increase your appetite. Henceforth, that's why carbohydrates are better for building muscle, because carbohydrates are going to make you want to eat more. So if you're a skinny kid, it would be a good idea to increase your carbohydrate intake, not only because it's going to help you increase your calories, because carbohydrates are very high. I'm talking really fast. Carbohydrates are very high in calorie. So they're going to make you want to eat more. And in addition to that, carbohydrates themselves are they're not very satiating. So they're not going to fill you up as fast. But they're also going to cause you to eat more, and they're high in calorie themselves. And fats are, a gram of protein is, 6 calories? A gram of carbohydrates is 6 calories, and a gram of fats is 9 calories. So if you're purely looking to eat less in general, it's uncertain to say if you should have a higher fat diet or if you should have a higher carb diet, because calories are, the calories in fat are higher, but they keep you satiated for longer, and the calories in carbohydrates are lower. However, they're not as satiating. So that's where it comes in, where you have to experiment with yourself a little bit and find out what works for you. A common theme in fitness and health is finding out what works for you. And that's why I stopped tracking my calories. For many years, I have struggled with a body image issue. I'm still struggling with it my whole life. If I ever figure out how to edit videos, I'll put a picture of myself when I was younger. But I was very overweight as a young child. I was always taller and bigger than everyone. I was always I went through puberty really, really early. I dealt with, I matured a lot faster than my peers. And that's not a good or a bad thing necessarily. It's just the way things are sometimes. That was me. I was unique in that way. But I was also very fat, very, very fat. I was very inactive. I was very unathletic. I would sit on my ass and play video games all day, and I would eat a lot of gross processed shit. I would eat whatever I wanted. I remember thinking to myself, who gives a shit what I look like? But I gave a shit what I looked like. So at the same time, I was telling myself, who gives a shit what I look like? But I also looked like shit, and I hated myself. And unfortunately, lifting weights and making the decision to change my body and to change my life, essentially, that was only the tip of the iceberg as to solving this body image issue that a lot of people have. Everyone sees themselves different than the world sees them. My girlfriend sees me as the hottest guy in the world. I see her as the most beautiful girl in the world. She doesn't see herself that way, and I don't see myself that way. I may be in a place now where I am, in the higher percentile of people who are physically fit and who look good. However, I still see myself as that fat kid in 6th grade, and a lot of people, I'm sure, share that same sentiment. So the point of this long sort of exposition here is I have been trying to lose for almost my entire life. There was one short period of time when I was in 8th grade or freshman year where I was trying to gain, see how much weight I could gain, see how much muscle I could gain. I was eating whatever the hell, not whatever I wanted. I was eating decent food, albeit a lot of calories. And the heaviest I got up to after I started, taking my fitness seriously, the heaviest I got up to was 201 pounds. Before I started taking fitness seriously, I was 230 pounds. Fat. I was a fat 230 pounds. My BMI was upwards in the risk of, my health was not good. 230 pounds at my age, that would put my BMI somewhere in the 30s, I believe, at that time, which obviously is not healthy. My BMI right now roughly is about 24, which puts me at the threshold of almost being overweight. But obviously, being 6 feet tall, being 18 years old, being a male, typically 6 6 foot tall males don't weigh 175, 180 pounds. And now I've been trying to lose weight for my entire life. I've been trying to lose. However, what has made this difficult? What made this difficult was the patterns and the habits that I formed when I was at such a young age. You see, when you're young, and everyone knows this, when you're young, your brain and your musculoskeletal system, your central nervous system, everything is a sponge. It's soaking up everything around you. So, say for example, you start gymnastics when you're super young. If you put a 7-year-old in gymnastics, or a 6-year-old, or whatever, I don't know how young kids are when they join gymnastics, generally they're going to be very, they're not going to be good at it at first, obviously, because they're 7 years old. However, they do that consistently until they're, let's say, 10 years old. By the time they're 10 years old, that is ingrained in their central nervous system and in their brain for the rest of their lives. They will forever know how to do, a round off back tuck, or they will forever know how to do these things that they learned at such a young age. What you do at that age, between the age of birth to probably 16 or 17, that is what forms you're in the younger you are, the more spongy your whole body, your central nervous system, your muscles, your brain, everything, the more you retain. So the point of what I'm trying to make here is I formed horrible eating habits at a young age, and that caused me to be very overweight. So when I wanted to make the shift from, when I finally wanted to start actually losing body fat and start looking good, when I cared more about looks than I did about strength, and that's sort of been a battle in and of itself, is, do I care about strength or do I care about looks? Which one do I care about most? And it is looks. I care about looks the most. What do you think I had to deal with? And what do you think I still have to deal with to this day? I have tracked my calories religiously for 4 years, and my macros. For 4 years, I have calculated every single piece of food that I've eaten. And I had some success, but there would be times where I would fall off the wagon. I had horrible eating habits ingrained in my brain that will probably be there for the rest of my life. I will never get rid of those eating habits. I can only make them weaker. I can only try and replace those eating habits with better, healthier habits. But because I developed such horrible habits at such a young age, it will probably, I guess I don't know this for certain, but it will probably always be something that I struggle with. So, say for example, I eat very, very clean, and I eat very, very healthy. I cook all my meals at home. I do everything at home. I cook it on my own. I don't keep shitty food around the house. Let's say, for example, I make a batch of brownies one night, which is something that I used to do a lot. If I do that one night, one time, it's an immediate snowball effect. And then I have a little bit more the next day, and a little bit more the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Why? Because it's a habit that has been in there since I was a young child. So, ever since then, I've been trying to get rid of those habits, I learned about the habit patterns over the past couple of years. It was a continual, progression of knowledge. So I learned about habits and how big of an impact they have on your life, and that made sense to me. It was like, okay, this is why I look different than my peers. This is why it's so easy for me to eat so many calories and not for people my age to eat so many calories, for other people my age, because I had different habits than they did growing up. And if there are any of you out there who are around 16, 17, 15 through 18 who have similar habits to what I'm telling you right now, then please let me know, because I would love to talk to you about it, because it's very hard to deal with. But it is possible. I tracked my calories religiously for 4 years. In that time, I had some good times, I had some bad times. I got lean, I got fat, I got shredded, I was competition ready, I was decent. I've been all over the spectrum. All right, stop turning off. I've been all over the spectrum. Now, recently, I experimented, and I'm experimenting currently with not tracking my calories, because I'm still trying to lose fat, and I probably will be for the rest of my life. What does it feel like? It feels strangely good. It feels very refreshing, I should say. So not only, when I was tracking constantly, I was always thinking about food. Always, always, always. I was thinking about how many calories does this have in it? If I eat this many calories in this morning, or this many grams of protein in this morning, am I going to be hungry here, or am I going to have a bigger appetite here, or whatever. I was constantly thinking about food. I was obsessed with what I was putting into my body and writing those numbers down. Tracking your calories is a good thing. It is good to learn about food. What that did for 4 years is I actually learned what food had in it. The value food had, how many calories this has in it versus how many calories I thought this had in it. What does this have that this doesn't have? What foods make me full? What foods make me want to eat more? And I learned so much about food by tracking your calories. So I do recommend that people do it. However, I think tracking your calories is a good start. But eventually, you should get to the point where you can eat intuitively. What does that mean? Eating intuitively means you get to a healthy place where you're not obsessed about food. You're not constantly thinking about food. You're eating the foods that you want to eat, thinking to yourself, can I have this? Well, you know roughly how many calories or how many grams of protein or how many grams of fat are in that just by looking at it after you do it for so long. So by eating intuitively, not only are you no longer thinking or obsessing about food, you're just eating what you want to eat, you're enjoying it, but you're more conscious about what you're putting in your body. And what I've noticed is since I started, I'm eating less. I don't feel that different. However, my body fat is definitely going down. I'm looking better. I'm feeling better. As far as gym performance, when you're trying to lean down, your gym performance is obviously going to suffer a little bit. That's just, thermodynamics. That's how it works. But overall, I think it was the right thing to do. And maybe I will track again in the future if I have a certain goal or I want to get to a certain point. But right now, I feel good. I'm eating intuitively, and it's very refreshing. So now I'm not thinking about food every day. I'm thinking about what can I do to improve my business. Now I'm writing ebooks for all the people on my Instagram page. Or on my website, like I'm creating more content on a daily basis. I'm not obsessing over the things I used to obsess about. And that, I think, is a good sign that maybe I'm breaking my habit or my addiction to food. So, thank you guys for watching this tonight. I'm sorry it was kind of a long video, a little bit of a rant. And if you're hearing the audio of this, that means it's just on a podcast. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please subscribe, like, comment, share this with someone if you think they could benefit from this. I really, really want to get this information out to more people. It's the truth about health and fitness and things like that. So am I encouraging you to do this? Not necessarily. I'm not encouraging you to do this, but I'm telling you what worked for me, and I'm telling you that in order to find out what works for you, you must experiment with different methods. Simple as that. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, share this with someone, like, comment, tell me what you want to see next, subscribe. And I just want to thank you guys so much for all the support. I've been starting to get a little bit more views on my videos, and it feels really good. It feels really rewarding. It's all I've ever wanted to do is help people. So thank you all, and good night.